And I'm talking about, being an entrepreneur versus being a part of a larger organization. A lot of some of the sessions that I've been with you personally, and interesting enough, some of the interactions that I have with some CEOs from their companies, and basically the way I was as well hired for this position, which was a fascinating experience as well. I think that whenever you become a chairman, whenever you are a business owner, apparently maybe 80% of the value you can bring to a business is really selecting your CEO or your top management team. Now, here we have an audience that either will like to aspire to become a CEO or the CEO of their own company. Now, how do you select yourself as CEO? How do you see that someone has the skills, the capabilities of a CEO?
It's a very imprecise science. But so I think, again, a CEO for what? If it's a CEO for a company, a group of companies that's expanding, I think you have to take into where the company reached and where the company going. So a board of directors will want a CEO to be relevant, and you don't want a mismatch, and so on that. So you have to be very careful with who you choose and what you choose. The question is, does a CEO have to have technical knowledge of the business? Or does he have to have a different set of a different value equation there? And the question is that from that standpoint, what you need is somebody, in my view, who understands and who a good CEO is one who looks at the business through an owner's eyes. Because in the fair analysis, he's working for the board, and the board is represented the shareholders. And what do shareholders want? The shareholders want a return on their money. And it's got to be a good return on your money, otherwise they dump your stock and they go buy something else, whatever have you. So basically, the question is that the CEO have to create value. You have to create shareholder value. And in so doing, does he have to be a technician? Not necessarily. What he needs to have actually is the skills to be able to administrate, to be able to bring parties together, to be able to choose the right people, exercise judgment. Very, very important is judgment. Most people can solve a problem if they know all the facts. It becomes almost arithmetical. It's when you don't know all the facts, but you still have to make a decision. You know some of the facts, and then that holds for a certain amount of judgment. And many CEOs make judgment decisions. Judgment decisions or intuitive decisions when there are no facts at all. It's a matter of your opinion. But where it comes actually that is very straightforward, the facts are there, and you make decisions surrounding those facts. I think from a CEO of a large organization, a lot of his reports will make those decisions before it gets to him. So he is more in the judgment area, and of course, trying to get on, moving from there, is trying to see how the company grows. Now, I am a firm believer that marketing is a job for the CEO. I know there are marketing managers and there's this and that and the other, but in my view, marketing is a job, because that is where dollars are made, is your market share, is how you sell your product, is what it is, finally. And so on that. And again, getting into a wholesale marketing jargon, the fact remains that that is what you have to do. And that's your revenue line, and that's where your profits will come from, and so on. So basically marketing to my thing. On a specific side, actually, if you're looking for, technical people, I think fine, the CEO will get a technical person to handle whatever the technical part of the job is. I mean, in the insurance industry, I mean, you can have an actuary, you can have this, you can have that, whatever have you. I mean, it helps to know something of the industry that you're in, but that's something, by and large, that you can learn the metrics of, because to me, it doesn't matter what the business is. Every business in the world, the shareholders get the same thing. They get a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow. Doesn't matter what the business is. The people who put money into that company, that's what they get. That's what they read. There are things idiosyncratic to the various businesses, but then that's fine. That becomes technical and so on. So by and large, and I've heard people tell me insurance is different to banking, and banking is different to manufacturing, and manufacturing is different to an airline. They're not different. Different businesses, but basically they're the same thing. If you have to fight to sell snack foods against Frito-Lay in the rest of the world, the same thing, you have to fight to get more seats if you're competing against Delta or whatever. So you have that. And the same thing. But you have people who are technicians who make sure the planes fly on time. You have actuaries who make sure that the reserves are right in the company. You have this, you have that, you have all of the technical areas are working. And you have to choose the good people for that, and so on. So the CEO is the person who is going to bring all of those things together, put it together. And then you have the soft, very important, but the other qualities, right? And the CEO must not be a person who is insecure. Insecurity is a big problem. So people who are insecure tend to have phobias and all sorts of things around them. You want somebody comfortable in their own skin, and so on that, and you don't want somebody who's arrogant. You want somebody who's thinking, so on that, to bring people together. Somebody who's, so I think that is, I mean, but there are all kinds of other qualities, I mean, so.
Interesting. I'm just taking notes. I know you are?
Well, the other thing to actually, like when we were to, well, in case of Miguel, we had to give what firm we used again?
Pardon me?
What firm did we use? We used a search firm.
Zender.
We used Egon Zender, which is one of the world's largest search firms for top executives. We used Egon Zender, and we gave them a brief and so on that, and that went actually, we had to give them a brief. They take the brief that we give them, they go, they massage that, and then they come back with a big 10-page document of the profile of the person, and then we read through that and say, well, yes, this sounds like it, or no, this part doesn't sound like the person we want back. They rebrief again, and then based on that, they go outside and they start to search the world, and they headhunt for somebody, and so on that, and so on. That's what large corporations tend to do, actually, I think. The question of whether you promote somebody from within and you take an outside person is also a very important thing. And there are no hard and fast rules about that. That calls for judgment of the board in respect of, and again, where the company has reached and the stage that the company has reached, and so on that. And that's also a very big thing. Sometimes you take over a company and you find, having taken over the company, that there are change of control provisions in the company, and by taking over the company, okay, fine, you have to pay the CEO off and so on that, because there have been change of control provisions under his contract. So you pay him and he goes his way, and so on, and then you have to find a new CEO, or alternatively, different thing. But you have to work it all through. So it all depends on and how you do it. And then the whole question of CEO pay and CEO salary and various, especially if you're doing overseas, because there are certain countries where the CEO of the subsidiary is earning more money than the CEO of the group. That's why that, mainly because of the different circumstances in the country. Okay, So that's a different story of how you remunerate that type of thing. But if you send somebody to work in Angola tomorrow, you're going to have to pay them a hell of a lot of money to go. In the first instance, it's a booming town, but houses over there are renting for $25,000 and $30,000 a month, and very, very U.S. dollars I'm talking about, very small houses and so on. So you get a hardship posting and they take it. But some guys like that, so.
Interesting.